Good afternoon, homies. Are you guys ready to watch this closing hour for the week? We're going to see where things are ending up for the end of the week. Looks like we have a bunch of technical analysis to get into today because we saw this roll up, but if that just crosses down, that might not be a good thing. Maybe that's going to wait until that option's expiration. We know that a lot of the volume for the day, about 30 to 40% of the volume for the entire day, comes in this last hour. So we really have to be paying attention to what's going on. Looked like for a second there, volatility was going to turn up and the market was going to fully say, hey, I'm going to turn down, but things kind of have bounced back up. Maybe people have, oh gosh, I'm hiccuping. Sorry, I just had a huge lunch. I got to see my buddy. I forgot I was supposed to go to lunch with my buddy today, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that I had a good time. Now I'm ready to look at some stocks. So as we see, the SPY starting to create still some double toppery going on here, possibly, right? We see that turnover here that would happen. That could get pretty ugly, but we do have the dollar dropping off dramatically now. To note, if we do see that start to scale up next week, we might see a way for the dollar to start climbing. Volatility, we're still seeing, hey, this is curling down on the 2 hours of right now. So volatility is telling us there might be another argument for this to squeeze higher in the overall market, and that would make sense with the PCC being higher and the dollar going down dramatically. That would make some sense. Still seeing if this 30-minute can cross up at any time, maybe in this last part of the day, so that's something to pay attention to. How we doing out there? Bitcoin did the thing. It actually went to 63. Okay, it went up to that 63, 63.4, I think. 63.3, 63.4 was where we were thinking, getting some wicks from that area. So very, very good. Nice move there for Bitcoin. Able to confirm that in the upward direction. So that would add some more indication that we might see this squeeze further. Now, the only thing I'm running into as well is AMC's actually seeing something good, up 2.24%. Look for that guy on Monday. GameStop not seeing as much positivity, but we're seeing a bunch of little pops throughout some small caps. So it is just a time to be paying attention and making sure that things are looking good. The market itself, though, looks like it might need a pullback. The Qs itself, though, they look like they might need some kind of pullback still once you start to get into these 2 hours and 4 hours. 2 hour has fully pulled back. You would say that is down by the center line. So if we do cross up on a 2 hour, we could see extended positivity. Meta and Microsoft are pulling back. Meta makes sense. Right, Meta makes sense. Rejection, divergence for Meta. Meta would make sense if it saw a daily pullback at this point, right? It would make total sense with somewhat of a double top up there. Microsoft rejecting from the broken channel as of right now. If that curls over, that wouldn't be good news. 2 hour has curled down, starting to go negative. We'll see if that can turn back up. As of right now, it looks like some kind of rejection. So we'll pay attention to it. Anything can always build up, right? Consolidate for a moment, start to head higher, even with some dramatic price action. You see that thing curl up, positivity can be had. But thank you for mentioning it, Shay. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here for the closing stream. Nothing bullish about the market, and that's where I'm confused, because the market looks like it has reversal signals, but you have the dollar dropping off dramatically, you have everyone calling puts here, and volatility starting to cross down on the 2 hours. So you kind of have, I would say, mixed signals, which are you're seeing the signals for some kind of short squeeze. But the market itself is not in a position just yet to short squeeze. I would say very much higher. It definitely is in a position where it has consolidated like this, right? And so if it was able to, it would make sense to climb a little bit higher, like it still would. But even from there, every time you pop up, you got to be like, that's worrisome. That's worrisome. Just because we have not seen, I would say, a significant pullback, a significant move sideways. I think we've just seen a blip in the road, and so we'll have to see if that turns back up. How about that 219.36 on Tesla? Ooh, very, very close here. So we got to see what's happening with this as of right now, curling to the upside, but no kind of real breakout as far as what we've seen this morning. Just some consolidative move, right? If you're really looking at this, what are you doing? Well, you're still consolidating after that bounce. So we'll see which way this ends up by the end of the day. Here's what we wanted. We needed Just Joe's sexy Vixen update. Let's go. Target is still 1575. Sorry, it's taking so long. I did post a UVIX day trade short on this morning's closed vlog, hoping to cash out at 7x on that trade. Really? You think you're going to get a 7x on that bad boy? Interesting, interesting. One thing I was kind of looking into was just looking at the 30-minute, seeing if that can curl up, but the 2-hour has just crossed over, so that's a little worrisome. We'll have to see. I think options expiration may help us out a little bit if people take some profit. We'll see if this can turn back up. For the time being, that 5-minute divergence did play out to something. Did you notice that? That 5-minute divergence did play out to a little bit of upside for volatility, but we have gone right back down into that area. We've created maybe another divergence point right around where we made the last one, just a tiny, tiny bit higher. Is that really on the RSI at the same time? Not necessarily, but this across the way is. Well, this still has potential to turn up, but as that 2-hour momentum takes over, it could just turn to the downside. So we'll see if the SPY is able to curl up, but the SPY curling down on a 30-minute would mean a lot. Yo, it's great. You can literally record. Like I said, when I started doing this live channel and stuff, when I started to look back on things, it's kind of cool. You can kind of see how you're doing things, go back the next day, see how it played out, and then you can look at what your thinking pattern was and like where you went wrong, where you went right. I think that's very cool. A Target, as far as Target goes, I believe this had a great upward move with the earnings. What are you noticing here? 30-minute pullback. That's what we say with the earnings, right? Everyone wanted me to talk about it here. Should I buy this? Should I buy this? Should I buy this? First of all, I can't tell you really if you want to buy something. I'm just going to tell you if momentum looks good. And if your indicators are telling, hey, this here would be a chase at this point, right? It would be a chase at this point way up there. You're hoping as a trader, if you wanted to take a play here, that this doesn't just keep going up and give you that opportunity. The opportunity is at least a 30-minute pullback. And look at that, the 30-minute pulling back towards the center line. You see some positivity here, positivity there. Ooh, good things can happen. That's what I'm seeing from Target at this moment. That's what that looks like to me. One thing I was still paying attention to was Apple still building in this area, unconfirming the little divergence point between these two areas. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. NVIDIA, I thought this was interesting, kind of consolidating here, not fully able to confirm another downward move. We'll see what happens with this. We kind of dinked to the top of our zone, so that's a little bit of an argument for, hey, can this 2 hours start to curl back up? We'll pay attention to it. For now, it's like if we're going to squeeze, since we're seeing some squeeze behavior, is that a 2-hour move that then gets up to something like 135, 136, and then starts to fail with the divergence, and then we'll have to see with that with earnings. But earnings around the corner, we know what that means, 50-50 flip. Why is my camera not on? You guys know you want to see me. What's up? Holding puts in this story was up 1K, didn't sell up. Are we flushing again or I'm rip? As far as today goes, it's going to be very difficult to flush by the end of the day. You're not necessarily seeing that increase in the dollar to flush. You're not really seeing that at this moment. So for right now, we are holding above that daily expected move. You have a little bit, 68% chance to land below that. But as of right now, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing upside. And that's the most probable thing still, as that is green. I'm waiting for this to flip, and then I can start to flip, right? Tesla. What is this? What is this? No. Personally, I'm good. One thing I'm interested in is AMC and GME, weirdly enough. I am interested in it. Palantir, again, starting to drift down. Always potential for that move up if you're not seeing this sell in a little bit more dramatic behavior. 2 hour is curling down towards that center line. Just tells you, hey, we're moving sideways. If that 2 hour does curl up, you can see a decent move. But we're starting to see that 4 hour cross down, so we'll see if that momentum keeps up. Kind of just an interesting day in the market. Mara up 10%. That's a great move. We found the signals there. IWM's been up there all day. Very, very good. But I'm just interested to see what AMC and GME do on Monday. I'm really interested because these 2 hours have flipped up. And these little moves like this, that 2 hour flipping up, can start to roll up this daily. And look how close that is to cross. I'm very interested to see what happens to AMC come Monday. Pretty excited to see what happens with that. It's probably going to be nothing. It's usually always nothing, but this is the first really, I would say, good sign we've gotten in a while. Obviously, we still have 45 minutes left in the day, and a lot of the time we see that towards the end of the day. You start to end down like by that $5 mark, but we'll see. Minimum 50% retrace on Tesla from yesterday. That is what happened. It pretty much is what happened with Tesla. Tesla, we're just seeing this dip back down. Okay, daily didn't cross, 2-hour cross, but could cross back up, right? Remember, my target for Tesla still hasn't even been reached. I mean, technically, I'm still thinking that Tesla will eventually get up towards that 234 area. That would make some sense, and then I think you back off from there one more time. So we could be seeing one more move up, right? One more little move up, and then we'll see what happens. But for the most part, we just got to take what we're given at this moment. It looks like some short squeeze signals confirming at this moment. See if it changes by the end of the day, right? I'm your favorite Muslim on YouTube. Do I look Muslim here? I probably do. It's the mustache. It's the beautiful bird. I feel like Just Joe talks in code. We sell my UVIX puts and add to shares. As soon as VIX breaks below 1575. Close enough. You're like, close enough. Well, we're almost down 10%, by the way. So I'd be paying attention to the next two trading sessions. We'll talk about this stuff a little bit over the weekend, but what we could be seeing here is a point of divergence created. We could see this extend for some time all the way down to 1212 if we're starting to close below the 200, right? But we're not closing below the 200 just yet. Now, this would be the first sign that we can, but who's to say? What if we just go and touch that 200 again and you see something like this, and we see something like this? That's kind of what I'm paying attention to still. But if that would break down further, then I could say, okay, now I can look for maybe a stock that was beat up a little bit. Monday bullish. I mean, as of right now, that's what the signals would say. It would say, hey, there's a lot of cash going into the market right now. That's how I'm reading into it. Volatility starting to subside. Everything would tell you that next week should be most likely an up week or an up early point of the week. And then you have to see if things start to roll back down. But you know, don't want to read into it too much right now. You just want to pay attention. Are we going to cross up on like a 1 hour, a 2 hour? Hey, 1 hour, are we going to cross up on that and see an upward move? Or are we going to start to roll down on a 30-minute by the end of the day and give us a hint of like, hey, there could be weakness early on in the week next week? If everything remains the same here, though, it's looking like, hey, an upward move is the most probable thing. Am I going to take a trade with that? No, I'm not. How do you calculate it? So all you need to do, well, you can look it up. As far as how to calculate it, you can literally look it up on Google, but all you need is the days to expiration, the closing price, and implied volatility. Those are the three main things you need. But yeah, the calculation's on there. You can literally just go type in like how to calculate an expected move. We teach you in the course a simple way to do it. I teach you the quick way to do it. And then if you ever just don't want to make those moves and you're looking at stocks that I mainly cover, then we give those out on Patreon. So, but yeah, look up how to create expected moves using options data and it'll pop that up for you. But yeah, those are the main three things you need. You need days to expiration. Make sure that the price action isn't moving, right? You need to calculate it when it's not moving to get that implied volatility, or else the implied volatility can move. And that's kind of a big deal because if the implied volatility is moving, it's a little difficult to find it. You want to see that closing implied volatility. You want to see that closing price, and then you want the days to expiration. AMC to $10 soon. I think you got a good shot next week. I think you got a good shot soon to see AMC do something crazy just because you have this so close to crossing. And the one thing I was like looking for was a strong bar above the 200 and the 2 hour to cross up to get that. And that's what happened. So everything here is happening. It's very close to going positive. It's everything you'd see in a normal stock before it crosses on the MACD, right? So that's all the reason I'm paying attention to it. That still doesn't mean I'm going to go, oh yeah, it's guaranteed to happen or something. You never know with this thing. It's actively fought against. So my takeaway is no more options, just swing trades. And I think that's perfectly fine, John. I think it's fine. And usually it takes, you know, I know a couple people, it's taken some big bad moments to realize like, oh, maybe I'll just make money a little bit slower, right? The slow way is the fast way in the market. Doesn't mean you have to do options or anything like that. The slow way is the fast way, meaning manage your trades, trade like water, and maybe take a step back and be accountable with yourself and just be like, hey, maybe I need to be more disciplined because options kind of mess it up. I'm not good with the timing. So what if I just don't have timing in the way and I just swing trade the actual shares? I think that's perfectly fine. MSTR, but I'm scared. I get that you're scared. You want to buy puts here? You know, by puts here, the daily just crossed up for the first time. So I understand the fear sentiment there a little bit because you're kind of in like a range on the daily scale. Yeah, you're pretty much in a range on the daily scale. And this is telling you might break to the upside on that range. So yeah, I don't know if I would be looking into that just yet. 30-minute, not really showing any reversal signals. 2-hour, not really showing any reversal signals. So I don't know if that would be the best idea in the world. I'm just telling you that momentum on the daily scale is shifting up. You could always get lucky and randomly it happens, but you're just seeing no signals of that as of right now. I do put Snow and Intel. Snow dropping down, crossing down on the MACD. That's not a good sign. Now you always want to make sure there's no like reversal signals down here, even on like a 4-hour or something like that. If that curled up, that could get ugly. If the 2-hour curls up, that could get ugly. More so here is the daily curled down, yes, but it did it very quickly. So you always have the opportunity to see a snap back to these ranges, right? It's very hard to short like this. And it did have a divergence down here. You can see that. That led to some upside, but right as we try to go positive, it fails with the earnings. You just see if that can turn right back up, I think. But because this would be another maybe even point of divergence with this low, right? So we'll see about that. But for the most part, this is curling down. I never take calls on a stock that is curled down on a MACD in negative territory. So this can get ugly. As far as shorting, I think that this price actually dropping dramatically kind of ruins that for you just a little bit. But just got to be careful with pretty much everything. I hope the play works out for you. Don't get me wrong. Daily scale here looking a little flaggy, started to cut below this moving average. I don't like that for Intel, so I understand the play a little bit here. 2-hour did cross down by negative territory. Hey, I get it. If that 2-hour starts to turn back up, though, you might be like, okay, maybe this is heading to the upside. Maybe this is some kind of cup and handle. Maybe this is going whoop, 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 right? So if that breaks through this high, curls back up on this MACD, no reason for downside anymore from Intel. But we'll find out. Look like a double top. So like on the SPY, Galani 2K down. I thought it was going to break the low today, but I bought back up again. Yeah, they always have the manipulated moves, and especially on options expiration on like a Friday and stuff like that, it's very difficult to do 0 DTE because depending on how it's positioned in the direction, you could hold up here, see one blip at the end of the day, and then that thing starts to actually pull back and it can frustrate you the next week. That's why I try not to do anything 0 DTE, but especially on a Friday, very, very difficult to do that because if you're not paying attention very quickly, you can get eaten alive. So I get it, and that's the thing. The double top could still be there. That's the thing. You haven't violated the double top just yet. You just haven't broken that low. So technically, it would mean to me, hey, you know, this is something that happened to me plenty when I first started doing options. It happened to me all the time where I was right. My timing was just a little off, right? So what I'm paying attention to is, does this curl down? And when I would do that, I would say, okay, this curl down, bad things can happen. Oh, and then we gap up and I go, oh, my timing was off. So now you'd wait for this to curl down one more time. That would mean my timing was just a little off. But I'm sorry that that happened to you. Genuinely, I am sorry. Yeah, that move yesterday, this one here, It's frustrating. Market can be frustrating. Yes, you still have the signal. That's the thing, and that's something very hard to deal with. And that's what really convinced me of something when I was doing options, and that's what made me really start to look out further for my expiration, just in case there is that turn and I can't react. Right? This just turned up on a big gap. So that's going to hurt my option immediately. Even if it's a little further out, it still will hurt my option, but it allows me to possibly scale in. It allows me to get out and not lose as much. It allows me to get out, get right back in. So that's more so a situation that I can compare to my previous history and say that something like this could have gone wrong for me in the past, and situations like this did go wrong for me in the past, and that's what really convinced me to take longer out expiration. I still think you got a chance of it. It's just you're not necessarily seeing those signals right now. You're seeing more squeeze-like behavior, honestly. If I make it, you want to look for the IWM one? We'll see. IWM looking very strong, and the thing about IWM that's stronger is it went above that weekly expected move, and it's holding there. It is holding there. That is a good thing. SPY now up 1%. AMC actually going to 505. If it closes like this, that would be a good sign. See what I mean? You get, like, look at that bar. That's something different, guys. We still have some time left. We have 35 minutes, but before FOMC? FOMC already happened. Happy Friday. The FOMC already came out. But you have technically a September 18th. Okay, so you're more, are you maybe Fed rate decision? So Fed rate decision, if you're talking about that, that's something I think would be important because of what he said this morning, which is, I have it right here. I just have a summary. It's not exactly what he said, but it's like almost spot on. We do not seek more cooling in the labor market conditions or something like that, right? No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Don't feel bad. We get it. There's so many things with the Fed. I get it wrong too. So no. But them saying that, so him saying that tells you to pay attention to one thing. So you need to be paying attention to Happy Friday, September 6th, okay? I want you to go over and get this website down, Economic Calendar, Trading Economics. I want you to put this on there, and I want you to go look at September 6th and see, he said they do not want to see more weakness in the job market. What data do we get on September 6th? We get non-farm payrolls and unemployment. So what should you be paying attention to? Exactly what he doesn't want to happen is what I would be paying attention to right now. The non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate. All this other data can shake up the market a little bit, right? These readings can shake up. Jolts can do something to the market, September 3rd, right? These things can do things, right? They can cause reactions in some way. GDP growth rate, right? But for the most part, we would say, okay, what did he tell us he's paying attention to the most? Jobs. So jobs data, initial jobless claims, non-farm payrolls, unemployment. I would highly suggest marking that date, September 6th, on your calendar. And look at AMC, by the way. Just to tell you, this is what you see before something big happens. I'm trying not to be too excited. I'm trying just to be like, okay, this is a good thing for now. It can easily be a bad thing next week, right? But this is crossing up, and it's getting above the moving averages. You see another day of positivity on Monday. Uh-oh, you can cross on this MACD. Maybe it sees a little gap or something like that, right? You have to see if that fades, but this is what you would see right before a big move. A daily positive move on the daily scale, right? That's what you would see. This website is it's called Trading Economics. Just go on Google and type Trading Economic Calendar or tradingeconomics.com. But I do it's tradingeconomics.com/calendar. LMT. Lockheed Martin puts. I kind of like this. Is this a 2 hour here? that 2 hour spaced out though. So the thing about this is, if you don't get that real selling to come in, this could be one of those situations, right? That I was talking about, Nazim, when I was like, okay, what really convinced me to start taking out longer expiration, I realized how I can make my life so much easier. It's just giving myself the opportunity to still be in the play if my timing's a little off, and giving myself the opportunity to not lose as much if I'm wrong, right? And this just keeps going up. So what this tells me is I have to be aware if that 2 hour just curls up. If that 2 hour curls up, that would mean positivity, which might mean you're not wrong in saying there's a top around this area. You might just be off on the timing a little bit, and this needed to taper, right? We can see that there was some upward price action, very, very up, starting to go slant. Then we go a little more slanted, or maybe even flat, and then that starts to curl down, right? That can happen. And so doing the longer expiration really helped me out with trades like this, where they don't drop dramatically right away. They're kind of looking like they're pulling back, and you could see that next move higher if this crosses up. And then it still means the divergence is there. Is the daily scale rolling over? Things like that, it is. So if there's more of a daily pullback to come, maybe the 20 gets tested, right? That's a good sign. But I want to be aware that right now I'm saying the daily needs to pull back further. So if that 2 hour curled up, would the daily pull back further? No. No, it wouldn't, right? So that's good that it's September 6th. That's a pretty good amount of time. But I would just say if this curls up, you know, hey, then that's likely going to go a little higher. It doesn't mean like you're wrong. It might mean, hey, what if this happened? Hey, then you'd get an even better price for that September 6th. Then maybe you see the big move. It's right around a dividend though, so that's interesting. Yeah, your timing might just be a little bit off. But it's not off right now. Nothing about this is off right now. It's still turning down, and it's finally going negative. So you want to see if that's able to cross back up. You're hoping it doesn't gap or something like that. But since you have longer out expiration, what if it gaps, craps back down, and you get another point of divergence? That's great. You know, that's cool things. That's good stuff. Qs are starting to go positive. Oh, I ate way too much food. Me and my buddy, he's a big football guy. He goes ham. That guy can eat. I try to keep up. Never works out. My goodness, it never works out. Looks like the Dow making the next upward move. The key thing here too is I believe the hourly is crossing up with that as well, telling you upside more probable. We'll still pay attention to the last piece of the day here. That's what I would think, Shane, and I think that's how you know it's the real moment. It's really if the market starts to kind of suffer and AMC and GME pop. That's more when you know, okay, the problem is coming to light a little bit, but you'd want to see a pretty massive move, and that would, you know, most likely cause some bad price action with a lot of stocks. So great move from AMC so far. Like, you can't complain about it. That's for sure. GameStop being a little sluggish, but AMC seeing some good stuff. Maybe AMC can help out GME in that scenario, but we'll see. We never want to get too excited and be like, this is the moment, because every day someone out there is posting, this is the moment. I don't want to be that guy, but I am telling you that this is the likely behavior you see before something good happens, right? 2 hour crosses up. What happens shortly after that? If that can go positive, well, then the daily is going to curl up, right? So if the daily can at least get this above those moving averages, well, you'd have 2 swing trade signals, right? You'd have 2 of the 3. You have 1 with the price action if it closes like that. That's if it closes like that. It could easily just wick down to $5 at the end of the day because options. If that crosses above all the moving averages, that's 1. RSI's above the center line, that's 2. Waiting on the lagging indicator, that's it. So that told me, hey, I remember I bought some calls in this area for my birthday. Gave myself a birthday present. Meta really suffering. I'm worried about this one getting a daily pullback. If it could chop this low, I think you're going to get a daily pullback. Let's really look at this. That's a pretty damn good move. Still great too, honestly. GNRC. Sorry I'm yawning. It's just when I eat a ton of food, I'm like, ooh, I'm a little sleepy. I get what you're thinking with the sell. You're thinking, oh, it's possibly forming a 2-hour divergence or something like that, maybe. I get that. And you're kind of cup and handling right at that breakdown area, right? Kind of cup up to there, handle, see if you break through. Let's look at the daily scale. Sometimes that clears it up. Still in the daily move to the upside. So you could say maybe top Bollinger gets tested, but for the most part, let's look at a 30-minute. 30-minute as well. I understand. Haven't seen these things roll over. If that 30-minute rolled over, I'd be a little more like, hey, watch out for downside. But for now, that thing can continue. It's a 30-minute chart. That thing can continue to be overbought. It was a weekly target, so I got out. Hey, that makes sense then, right? Is it a good trade? That's all you care about at the end of the day, right? Is it a good trade? Yes, that was potentially a great trade for you. If you're hitting that weekly move, that was your target. That's awesome. Now, if this 2-hour were to roll down, that would be a bad sign. How's AMC looking? It looks fantastic. It looks great. It really does. Like, you can't say this looks bad right now. You just can't. Look at that. I mean, it looks great. Great speech by RFK. I'll have to give that a watch. I know that he was maybe going to show his support or something like that for the D-man, the DT, the DJT. Oh, yeah, let's go look at DJT. Let's go look at DJT. Ooh, actually, still crossing up on the MACD, and it is a positive bar still, even though it looks wonky, it's positive. I would just watch out in case you get that 2-hour pullback still. But as far as it goes, it looks like what? Well, there was a short seller problem in DJT. That looks like that's crossing up on a daily. You've got pops going in a bunch of different stocks. Cost has been popping lately. Then you got things like AMC. It looks like it could cross up on that MACD anytime. I think a sneeze is going to break my thought pattern. So we'll see what happens with it. Remember this, end of the day, right? End of the day on Friday. So doesn't have to hold here. But yeah, just some crazy looking stuff. It just means like, hey, if this were a moment where things were going to pop off, wouldn't you see something like that? Bitcoin I still like, actually. Bitcoin I still like. Now the question is, are we able to fight through this zone? Or is this a fake out in some way? Does it fade after hours, right? This still has some time to post. You still have 4.5 hours. So the daily scale, though, was turned up right here. And guess what? We've been going up ever since. Now we're at that 200. That's why I'm aware, like, hey, there's 4 hours left in the day. This could pull down. What I'd probably like to see over the weekend is you see this 4 hour kind of getting overbought. I'd really like price action to kind of sit in here for the weekend. Just kind of bounce around, do some of this, do some of this, do some of this. And then we get into Monday or something and that thing starts to pop. Yeah, outside of the zone, pretty bullish, but if you break through, you can always retest and then go. Right, the breakthrough area, bam. Come out of that, retest this area, go back up. Check on oil. Yeah, we can check on oil. Oil's been seeing some crazy upside here. Remember the daily is what we were talking about. The daily crossing up with divergence here. You do have that. Right now you're seeing some great upside, so this is telling you you do have potential for a little bit of a bottom right now in oil. Very interesting. And the 4 hour, not necessarily giving you the best divergence in the world, right? Not necessarily the best in this near price action, but you do have it on the RSI. So it makes me want to go look into a 2 hour. 2 hour we can see does have the divergence, So the play was somewhere around $73. Now we're up towards $74.88, and you want to see if that daily turns up on early on next week, or if we're going to go to an area and reject. If this curls down, that means bad things, right? 2 hour curls down, but yeah. Palantir puts, I don't mind that play because it really looks like it's just teetering, like it's still hanging on by its fingernails, and you could just see that drop off. We'll find out. I still think a test of something like 29 would be solid. GME, bro. Yeah, GME is not looking as good, unfortunately. Maybe AMC can help it out, right? Maybe AMC can help it out. But for the most part, GME just not looking as pretty, right? Curling down on the 2 hour. You really need this to curl back up for me to be like overly positive on it. The only good part about GME, though, is the daily has remained, you know, at least in the bounce area, you would say, right? It's in negative territory, so you'd say a bounce is happening. And what's happening right now? A bounce. So what you don't want to happen is this to reverse, right? You don't want that to reverse, but maybe earnings or something like that is going to be, you know, most likely very important. But yeah, GameStop, not looking as good, but it's kind of like if AMC runs, GameStop probably runs. If GameStop runs, AMC probably runs, maybe shortly after or something like that. That's how I see it. I just don't think the signals here are the best in the 2-hour chart for GameStop. If anything, it's actually saying, hey, I could head down, but it's also saying I'm consolidating. And if I cross up right here, that would be a good thing. I mean, I don't know when we get there, but my Bitcoin target's like $128,000. But that was most likely after, like long after we go down and we hit something like 13,000. Go down to 13,000, get rid of all the people, rich people accumulate, ship it to the upside, right? But we'll just see how it plays out. I don't think that upside gets hit like soon. I think it more would have to have a extreme pullback before hitting that level. No way it goes to, well, there is a way. I'm gonna tell you the way right now. Boom, right here. That's the way this plays out to the downside. Because this did not have weakness in the monthly momentum. This had it on the weekly scale. That's your weekly momentum downside. This, if it would roll down, that would be the monthly momentum confirming down. You break through this, yeah, you're very likely to go to that zone. But that's if all that happens. You know what I mean? Happy Friday. That's if this happens. So I'm being patient with Bitcoin. I'm chilling, seeing some structure. It's fine. The world would have to crash for that. Exactly. Yes. The world would have to crash for that. The world would have to crash for this. The world would have to crash for this. The world would have to crash for, I'll pick another random one, maybe like Microsoft, I don't know. This, right? World would have to crash for that. World would have to crash for that. World would have to crash for this, right? Notice this, the last time we saw a simple signal like this, straight across and down, what happened? Bad things. Can you see my old analysis on Netflix from when I wasn't streaming? You can always tell if it's yellow lines. That's my old analysis from 2020 and 2021. Whoopsh, whoopsh. Look at that monthly curl up. Fantastic. But yeah, a lot of signals here. Now there's another way to read into this too. It can still be a positive thing if this monthly would curl down and then curl back up, right? That would still be pretty positive. Should we hold puts for a year? Well, I mean, just depends, right? Because if we experience something like, if we actually get the people in office who want to continue to pump money into the system and just print money and all that, yeah, or if either candidate does those things, right? If either candidate does things to pump money into the system because they don't want the market to crash under their name, that's all cool. But it also means that assets can be valued at an insane level. I think that's why you do have people like Tom Lee saying this and this can get to, you know, the market can get to 15,000 in the next 10 years or so, or 5 years. I think that's why you see that, is because they understand policy. And policy is, if you print more money, if you do not allow the debt to actually subside and you're just going to go more into debt, then you're going to see more of the problem. So it's kind of a iffy thing. I would more so see if I saw a monthly turnover, if I saw the SPY do this and cross over on this MACD, that's when I would probably be like, okay, good likelihood we end up down towards this level soon. 329.55 is kind of my target for when that turns down, and then we see what happens, right? But I mean, how would this really break down? This was a very key level, right? So, that would look very bad. But is any of that forming right now? Is any of that confirming? It's not even close, right? We just see those signals. But you can't tell me that you don't see the triple divergence on the RSI for the SPY. We'll talk about this over the weekend a little bit. Let's go look at the Dow. Uh-oh. Everyone's talking about how the Dow's all fine and dandy. It might be fine and dandy, who knows? But if this would confirm down, I wouldn't be saying that. And I'd be saying Dow, Bitcoin, everything, crash. I don't know, let's go look at something like gold, right? Let's go look at gold. Ew, uh-oh, still have it. Even gold has it. But you would say for gold, a lot different structure, right? A lot different structure here for gold. Looks like gold 263 for GLD. Could happen. So will this happen December? I think you have a high likelihood before the election. And then I think you have, if everything goes smoothly, I think you have a high likelihood for spring of 2025. And so the times to pay attention are pretty much for the next 2 months. And then I would say the first, a little bit of second quarter of next year. And then I would be looking into, if we continue to go higher, then you're probably going to see some big ass fireworks in the fall of 2025. That's my assessment right now. Okay, sorry. I need to get off these monthly charts. Wink. What are you doing, Mr. Spy? What are you doing? All right, SPY starting to roll just a tiny bit here. We'll see if volatility can finally turn up on this 30-minute chart. Hasn't happened yet. SPY coming up, giving you a, hey, we might still break out. This could break out to the upside. What if it rolls over right here? That would be a bad thing. It just so happens to be looking like a bad signal right before AMC might see a good pop. Interesting. The only thing is, dollar really dropping dramatically here. The only thing you got here, 2-hour divergence. That can start to roll up 4-hour charts. 4-hour has the divergence as well. So that means what? Our daily chart can start to roll up soon. We'll see what happens. One-to-one Dow to gold ratio. Tesla bulls are back, at least for the time being. That's a great move so far. The only problem is you're not really beating that high. You're just retesting the breakdown area a couple times. So if this would roll over, that would mean bad news. But does it overall mean bad things? I mean, the 2-hour, if that would roll up, then you're going to end up where I think it'll get to eventually, which is 234. 233 to 234. Ah, who erased their... Someone's comment got erased. I was ready to read it. It was long. I like it. This was great stuff. We've done well with Tesla so far. I think it still might need to reload, get back into this zone a little bit deeper. Because now, what if you do this early on in the week? Ooh, 30-minute, oh, divergence. That would be great. Remember, we were saying to look for that. And some individuals. Go back over to the SPY for the last bit here. Let's just look at this 30-minute bar. Could just be some profit taking. We'll see. BC started print red candles. Keep in mind that manipulation only happens when price is dropping. Maybe your chance to avoid getting manipulated. Either way, this is the tear-free zone. Yeah, Bitcoin. It went up to where we figured it would. It's going past where I figured it would start to consolidate just a little bit. But actually, well, pretty much you're going into these wicks, so that's kind of what I was leaning towards. But this is our zone, kind of a big zone to make, but it's there. It's a good move. You got to admit that's a great move. You can't say that's bad, but you'd say, hey, if this is getting excited, I might want to consolidate over the weekend. Maybe we'll pay attention to that a little bit and put something out on Patreon if we see anything. Oil looks so interesting now. Nail seeing a solid move up, which means the housing sector is getting that solid move up. Oh my goodness, solid move. And if that doesn't look like a cup, that might create a handle. I don't know what does. Supply and demand zones, pretty much liquidity zones, right? Pretty much support resistance, I would say. See, that's why at the end of the day, I still more pay attention to what momentum is doing, because you can chop through those zones, wick up, and do all that kind of business. So, but it is good to pay attention to where sellers could be lurking, right? Where sellers could be lurking, where buyers could be lurking. This high is where buyers could be lurking. Okay, buyers were lurking. This is where sellers can be lurking. Okay, sellers are there. Can they push it down? No, they can't. The buyers came back in at these levels, turns back up. That's more so how I see it. I try to think of it more like, are there people buying here? Are there people in this area? The last time I was here, were people liking this price? Siri is the one Buffett is buying. Thank you for telling me. I asked this morning and I couldn't remember, and it's Siri. It's Sirius XM Holdings. Duh. I like that daily curl up, but I don't like that curl down, I tell you that. It pays a 206% annual dividend. I don't know anything about it just yet. Yield max ETFs. I mean, I'll read about it. I'll click on this link and read about it maybe this weekend a little bit. I don't know enough to comment on it just yet, Tom. Let me read about it a little bit and then maybe ask me again. I'll try to read some stuff. So far, just moving sideways on the daily scale. Oh, we wicked down to that daily expected move. We're just holding at it, holding at it, holding at it. August 9th was the last divvy. I don't know why, but I wanted the end of today to be more exciting. You know what I mean? Wanted the end of the day to be like, oh my god, we're going down. Hold on, it's going back up. Oh it's going down. Like, you know what I mean? I wanted some dramatic stuff. Unfortunate. I didn't even bring down my water. Fudge. Ever heard your opinion on it, importance of it? Well, it's very important, okay? It's important to think of NVIDIA. And what's this stock good for the market? Well, this we know is potentially the liquidity to suppress AMC and GME, potentially. And then you'd also say, okay, they really like this to hold the stock market higher. So it's more, what is NVIDIA doing before that happens? Like, is NVIDIA seeing a dramatic pullback before that happens? Is it seeing dramatic pullback? Are we seeing the market pull back to an area where buyers could be lurking? What's going on with how people are talking about the economy? You know, is the media telling you like NVIDIA is going to do terrible, NVIDIA is going to do terrible? Because a lot of the time what happened was, and why I like to trade Apple too, is you'd see some great signals for Apple before its earnings, because Apple saves the market a lot of the time. Now I believe that might be NVIDIA. Like, wouldn't this look be nice? This would be nice. And the thing is, with something like earnings, with so much implied volatility, you could skip this step and just end up here. So it's just, do they want NVIDIA to go down? Do they want NVIDIA to go up? Is kind of what you have to figure out. And that's very hard to do. That's why we say earnings is 50-50. Just depends on what they want to do. Because whatever it is, they could say all good things and one bad thing, and then it goes down by 15%. And then the media will say, oh, well, you know, investors really don't like this. But the truth is, it's just they wanted to shoot it down. Probably a lot of people had calls on it, you know. It's just their buddies had puts that day. Will I be trading it before earnings? I might take a dabble at it with earnings. But I might do one of those like splits where it's like take a put, take a call. Ends up being good news. Okay, that call is worth like 2 or 3 times the value. Sell the put. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I probably not. Most of the time I stay away from earnings. It just causes me so much less stress. right? And if I did, I'd have a very small position. Now you could say this is enough of a handle, actually. We got a little retest of our zone, actually. Weirdly enough, you see that tiny little dink retested our zone? You actually can head higher. Watch out for a 2-hour divergence, maybe. But that would run into earnings. That's the problem. It's just, when it comes to earnings, it's just which way do the rich people want to push the stock? Shorts and longs. Ah, damn it. I was just reading that. Who keeps deleting their message when it... Tom? You leave your message in the chat. I was like mid-sentence. I was like, look at T. Look at TA. TSLY? TSRY? TSLY? RY? I don't know. Oh, let's turn on some tunes. I want to look at some tunes. Wait. Short. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see with that one. It's also there. That's the thing too. It's like if they want to crash the market, it's super simple right now. Crash 3 stocks. Crash Microsoft. Crash Apple. Crash Nvidia. There you go. Market will crash. They're like 30% of the market or something. It's like crazy. TSLY. We've looked at this, right? This is what it is. Okay. So you're looking at these ones. I think you've asked me, like someone's asked me about these. 0.96. So what's the dividend yield? 84%. 84%. What the funkin' waggles is going on? Oh, this is an income strategy too. That makes sense with an 84% frickin' yield. That's so crazy. 86% a year. Is this always going down? Why is it always going down? Why is the value always going down? Yeah, that's insane, Tom, but that's just to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. And they're deleting the middle class out of the market. They don't like you guys in the market anymore. They don't even want your liquidity. They'll just print money at this point. They don't want your liquidity. You're not going to have money soon anyway. So that's how they're seeing it. They're like, ah, shoot. Well, if we go full communist, like, they're not going to have money for us to take from them with the rigged moves. Let's just get them out. Because it's pretty much just pricing you out of the market. It's impossible. It's impossible to. You can't even make money with 401k. You literally will make like what? Way less on your 401, like what, 45% less or something on your 401k because you're just going to be taxed like crazy. Oh God, are we having like a man versus women trade-off? Let's go. $1,000 to each of you. Who can do better in this next month? Let's do it. That'd be so fun, Maria, wouldn't that be? We do Diana versus Joe. Duh, 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 duh. Catching the end of the day, Thomas. Hey, thank you so much for being here, Thomas. Really appreciate you. Yeah, what we're paying attention to here for the SPY is figuring out what's going to happen next, really. And it's kind of difficult to see, but what you would say for now is you're more so seeing squeeze signals than you are seeing drop signals, but anything's possible when your 30-minute is this close to the center line, so you got to be on your toes. I'm not going to take a play with this, Thomas, just because seems not the clearest, right? Even though I'm having an hourly curl up and everything looks fine, that's great. I just know that I've made great money in this and I'm still being patient. Believe it or not, still being patient. Just holding on to that little long-term VIX position, saying, hey, if volatility pops for whatever reason, I'll be safe, and that's it. Not putting any of my profits at risk, just chilling. Are they still talking about it? Yeah, it's like pretty sure it's in Kamala Harris's policy plan. Capital gains and unrealized gains. And they're saying it's the way to tax the rich, but that's the problem with people, is like they don't understand, like, rich know how to get around taxes. No matter what a lawyer does, a business person will find his way around expenses. That's how it will work. And like the only people it will end up hurting is you. People who maybe do make a decent amount of money in the market, it will hurt you and you will be priced out of the market. It will shrink the middle class to a point where it's just not able to be in the market anymore, and it will be done. That is most likely what will happen with that. It is not to hurt rich people. And you notice every time they try to tax rich people, it backfires. Every single time. And actually, it just convinces them to do more messed up shit. You want to know why so many rich people own houses and rent everything, and why the housing market is always in a shortage? Because rich people go take loans to then have more expenses so they can not pay taxes. Like, look at, someone brought up Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Look at that guy. That's what he does. All it does is convince them to have to do something and go do something to get rid of taxes. If you just did a regular flat income tax, that's all you'd need. But our government wants more and more money every single year. So is what it is what it is. But hourly turning up here, most likely to continue, right? Most likely the trend continues. So my dad's got houses everywhere. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I just think if you have, $100 billion worth of, like, if you have $1 billion, we probably shouldn't allow you to have a loan of $100 billion, and then you go buy all these houses, and then no one can afford a house who's not making as much money as you. I just don't think. I think that's the regulatory practice we might need. Because I think this is the one place where, like, I'm a little bit still figuring out, but I believe everyone should have the opportunity to buy a house. And it seems that's going away. It seems like the opportunity to even have the opportunity to buy a house is going away. That's why I don't like it. Yeah, let's look at this. Let's have some fun. Let's look at random stuff. Good close by AMC, by the way. Solid close by AMC. We'll have to see what happens. That's all I can say about that guy. Look at that thing. That's a good close. That's what you were looking for, right? Isn't that different? Isn't that different? That's different. We'll see if something different happens on Monday with this. I wanted to look something up real quick. Let's go. I'm going to keep those yield max ETFs up. I got to look at those. Let's see. Investors own, so single family homes, at least in 2023, investors owned 27%. I can only imagine what that looks like now. So they own 27%. So weirdly enough, so let's say this. So as far as it goes, families, about 30% of families in America do not own homes. And in 2023, 27, we'll say this, about 30% of homes are owned by investors. Now that might be just a very thin conclusion there, but I'm just saying it can't help the problem. VIX now below 1575. Let's see how the VIX is reacting after hours for a second. Down 10%. Is it down below that 200? So now you're looking at another test of the 200 most likely on Monday with that 2 hour crossing over. Remember this 2 hour crossed over? So the most likely thing is a little bit of upside. So I'd pay attention to 1470, 1468. Cries in Spanish. What is that? That's not laughing, because laughing in Spanish is ja 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 ja. So is crying like crying is wah. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking, Drew. I'm just nervous of something at all times, pretty much. So if I make a good play, that's why you see me like. I might wait a whole another week before I make another big trade. Great trade though, going on this week with Nvidia. High yield monthly dividend. Yeah, one of them that I paid attention to was, oh shoot, what was the one that I always paid attention to? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's in here somewhere. I thought I used to look at this one like years ago. These ones, like your covered call ETFs. See how those grow? When the market kind of like sees that short squeeze, boom, we grow. I really like this one. I think its yields like what, 12? 12%, 11.62%. That's one that I've looked at in the past. But, all right, guys, for the most part, though, kind of a dud end of the day, of course. Dang it. Friday, we want to keep those prices up high. We got to look for things happening over the weekend. Are we going to see this breakout and go to new all-time highs, or are we going to experience more of a pullback? I think a lot will tell us after Monday. I think Monday we need to see that price action. Good stuff from AMC today, able to curl up above all those moving averages. Remember, the curl up of the 2 hours is what I was looking for. I'm looking for that thing to go positive. Once that thing goes positive, we might have a daily cross up. So that daily cross up can happen maybe first thing on Monday. We'll have to see if something crazy is going to happen, because isn't this a little different than what we've experienced even since these moments way over here? We've never gotten a green, good looking bar closing above the 200. Every single time this thing wants to fail, 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 fail. Ooh, that's a green, good-looking bar all of a sudden. So that's something to pay attention to. But overall, guys, I just hope you guys have a great weekend. I genuinely hope that. I'm not going to be buying too much still. I'm still going to wait to see how this plays out over the next couple of weeks. Once again, I'm practicing my patience. And you're seeing that in real time. I'm literally just sitting, chilling with you guys, looking through some good charts. You guys are giving me some great names to look at. The things that I'm interested in, what was it? Actually, I think DJT looks interesting. I think this looks interesting with that daily divergence. I think that looks like an interesting one. I actually did like that POW. So I'm still thinking about this one even right now. I'm thinking about it, looking at the shorter time frames a little bit. And then another one would maybe even be this. I really wanted to look at Pfizer as well, seeing if that thing can curl up into positive territory. You're seeing like a 2 hour rotation kind of going flat here. So I want to make sure that's going to break to the upside. It has pretty good structure, left head, right shoulder. I really like the Pfizer play, seeing if that can turn up soon on the daily chart. So those are kind of some that I'm looking at, not necessarily fully ecstatic to jump into a play though, but I thought some of these names were cool. But overall, really guys, for the weekend, here's what I want to say to the people who are left in here. When we're seeing these type of signals, when you're seeing this type of thing from the 30-minute, it just tells you maybe be a little bit aware of anything bad that can happen over the weekend, right? It doesn't mean something bad has to happen. It just means, hey, just keep your ear on the ground to things, see what's going on in the news, make sure nothing bad's happening. We're seeing some ammo stocks start to see some bottoming. We're seeing some Pfizer stocks see some bottoming, right? We're seeing DJT for the short squeeze potential to see some bottom. So that can shake up the market. All these things, the short seller problem can shake up the market, war can shake up the market, monkeypox can shake up the market, okay? So all three of those things, you're seeing some of those signals start to pop up while the market gives you a 30-minute very close to center line. Now that hasn't curled down. This is still positivity, right? Positivity. And so we have to pay attention to it. But if this would just roll over, a simple rollover here can show a lot of weakness. So we'll pay attention to it. We haven't seen that big pullback really, or some kind of more sideways price action. We could always get that as well. So we'll make sure to pay attention to these signals for you. We'll be looking at pulls into cash until I see Monday. That's kind of, John, yeah, that's what I like to hear, because it's crazy how you could be like this one day, being patient, not liking the signals. And then you get Monday's price action in the best signal forms. And I think that's what I think is really good to do for at least myself personally. After catching a short squeeze, I want to make sure to take a step back, kind of reload for a second, make sure that the next one I do is a winning trade. I don't want to ruin those profits at this point. So that's what I'm paying attention to at this moment. I hope you guys had a great day. I thank you guys for joining my live stream. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope you have a great weekend. Obviously, with the weekend, I want to encourage you to spend some time with family, do something nice for yourself. As the world keeps seeming to get a little crazier every single day, I think it's important to do something for yourself, or, you know, something for a friend, with a friend. Go get a drink, go have some fun in some way, invite a friend over to watch a show. I don't care. But for the most part, I'm just like, I want you to spend time with family. That's the important thing at the end of the day. And if you don't have anything to do, maybe your friends can't hang out this weekend, hey, you could dedicate yourself to some learning. 90% off for some of the courses down in the description. So you can get that for like $100. Maybe come in on Monday, see a nice signal, and get a nice trade to start your week. So overall, though, thank you guys so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys you need more cowbell? You need more cowbell? Oh, I tried my best. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will probably give out a little update video, kind of looking through the macro side of things, just to remind us of those monthly signals. It's always good to have that reminder. So thank you guys for joining. I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys on Saturday, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for those new weekly expected moves. Peace.